What up, what up, what up? How you doing out there? The Adventures of Frankie Vaughn in the next chronicle. This is what I'm talking about. I wanted to show you a little. I had a breakfast, oatmeal. We're starting our day here at Dillon. Well, we were at Dillon. Now we're at overflow parking at North Shuttle Lot. Thanks for following me. Thanks for joining. I'm Frankie Vaughn. B-O-N-N. What up, what up, what up? The mad chef of comedy and the adventures of this madman, just wanderlust, and where the rubber hits the road, vandwelling, van life, adventure, outbacking, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Liberation, freedom, and just living it up out here like a vagabond, and just chilling. Let's kick this out of here. Look at this. Oh my God, we're in Keystone, Colorado now. It's been snowing all night, last night, off and on. And then I woke up to more snow. They said they were gonna get 5 to 10. There's probably more on the mountain. I've never seen it so packed and so crazy in my life. I never, in all the years I've been coming here, half a dozen or so, I've never parked in the overflow parking. Look at this. Beautiful, fresh, fluffy snow. I'm getting a late start because there was so many people. And I kind of slept in. Didn't think anything of it, but man, it was packed this earlier at 10 a.m. So I don't know what time it is now. It might be around noontime. Saturday morning, it's amazing. Saturday afternoon, we got that big storm this week. Now we got another storm, and we really needed it up here in the Colorado Rockies, the high Rockies, Vail Summit Valley, Silverthorne, Dillon area, all the way from A Basin all the way to friggin' straight 100 miles, over 100 miles into Beaver Creek, and then you go another 50 miles, I think, or 60 miles, and you're into Aspen and Buttermilk and everything. So, van dwelling, baby. Oh, and I just want to tell you, for the van dwellers, and thanks, guys. I noticed a lot of people, and this woman that I saw living in a car actually was using her buddy heater in her car, strapped with bungee cords next to a plastic next to her trunk tarp, and she had the bed set up and blah, blah, blah. Really nice woman. You could see her on her page. Donate if you can. I know, was it Patriarch? I want to try to get to her because she's living in her car. She's like 65 years old. She's been on a rough streak, but she's doing it, and she loves it. I admire that, you know? I mean, I admire that. She actually loves it. She grew up camping, and out of 4 children or 5 children, she loved camping, and sounds like me. I enjoy it. I love it. I do have a little problem lately, last few seasons, with the in-core heater and being kind of a miser, being really cheap about it, spending the money. But I did have the internal battery. With the what are they called? You know, the integrators, the changing of the battery voltage. You know, inverters. And I had a little inverter, and that worked great in the beginning for a season or 2. But I didn't have enough energy to pump out of one battery in a small inverter to use electrical heaters, because I had the buddy heater, but I didn't like it because I heard so many crazy weird things, and I even heard some crazy weird things that they got on fire, the carbon monoxide, and I always leave my windows cracked. I didn't like the heat in that fire in that small. There's nothing worse than, for me personally, is, you know, dying a death of fire, you know? I mean, carbon monoxide, you never just wake up, no big deal. So, but I love living. So there's too many places to see in the world, especially in North America, in the Western Hemisphere, because I just been doing this. I've only traveled 70,000 miles, lower 48, pretty much. The Canadian Rockies from Banff to British Columbia, Vancouver, and also Whistler. I mountain bike there. I never snowboarded there yet, but I'll be there this year. If you keep following me, and you'll see me there. Again, I'm Frankie Vaughn. You know, I just started doing this, and I love it. I should have started a long time ago, because I have tons of footage. I've been traveling since late 9. I took a whole year off and traveled the whole country in a car, 2 cars. I traded one lease in, I got another lease, and I got a hatchback and lived out of that. And then I traveled all the way to 2012, and I gave it back to Toyota and paid them. What a racket they got going. I paid them to take it. I moved to New York for 20 months. Then I said I got to get back on the road. I miss snowboarding and skiing and outbacking and the liberation. And I love New York City, don't get me wrong. And I lived in Los Angeles for 20 some odd years. So, you know, then I came back here, I got the pass, and this is when I bought this van, and I learned about vandwelling at March of 2014. I bought it with hold on one second. I wanted to close the door because it's snowing, and you know, I don't want to get too wet inside my home, my vehicle, my van, my living spaces. So yeah, back to then I left. I quit my job. I was working at Madison Square Garden in New York City at a great steakhouse. I'm a professional waiter. At that time, I was being a professional waiter. I wasn't cooking, and I said, man, the city life, and people seem so miserable and stressed out, and I missed the road, and I even missed the West Coast. I even missed Los Angeles to a degree, and that's an anomaly for me, you know, because I do love Los Angeles. I lived there over 20 years. It's now 30 years, a stretch of 30 years, and 7 years on the road and bi-coastal. So this year's my 30th year. I moved there in 1987, November 9th, 1987. Drove cross country with a buddy of mine to Los Angeles, and I happened to live there for 5 months on the road. On the road, we took a cross country trip when I was, actually I flew to Los Angeles and Marina Del Rey and lived in a van. That was my first living, and I had a van. When I was 15, I bought a Shaggy Dooby Scooby-Doo van, and with Keystone wheels, and I shagged it out, and we used to get high in there and have fun, and my dad would get high on THC and mescaline when we were kids, and you know, all kind of like smoke pot and drink beers, Lowenbrows and Southern Comfort and Cuddy Sock, no, not Cuddy Sock, what was that, Southern Comfort, what was that, Goldschlager, and Yukon Jack, that's what it was, Yukon Jack we used to drink. And we used to eat that and little snips of the little baby buds. You know, I grew up, I'm an 80s baby, so, you know, an 80s teenager. So I grew up in the early 80s as a teenager, you know, and so it was crazy back then, and motorcycling and dirt biking. And, you know, when you went out of the house and you never came back. You left the house whenever you left, and you didn't come back until when you had to be back. You know what I'm saying? You walked to school uphill, one shoe on in the snow in New England. You know, I grew up in New England. I moved to South Providence, Rhode Island when I was a kid, you know, like 5 or 6 from New York City in the 70s. And then I moved over to the north end of Rhode Island, you know. So I'm like a half New Yorker and a New Englander, Rhode Islander, you know what I'm saying? So when I speak, I can do fucking marbles in my mouth. My stepdad's from Mass. And so back to April, I left. April 2nd, I bought the truck, I tricked it out, put a bed in it, put all that, you know, the inverter. You know, my buddy from Rhode Island, Jason, helped me, a good friend of mine, and then I hit the road. And that was my first adventure, you know, back out to the Rockies with the van, you know, with the van. So it was 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, amazing. So, you know, so back to the buddy heater. I did it last night. I put the little propane tank on there instead of having the big propane tank and the long 7-foot cord, which I have because I was going to mount it to the roof. So I said, you know, I got to do something. I'm going to try it because I've been fiddling with it for the last couple of days, you know, and turning it on, make sure it was brand new. It's brand new. I never really used it. I've only used it half a dozen times. So I put the little canister because my girl mentioned that. She goes, oh, it takes a little canister, and I didn't even think of it. Even though I'm a smart guy, I'm not smart, I'm a genius, you know? So she goes, oh, that takes, and she gave me a double flip stove where I could cook on 2 little burners, awesome Coleman little mini stove. And then she was like, oh, that goes on there and you can use that. And I saw a guy a couple of weeks ago that on vandwelling, lifestyle, and camper living, he had just a propane stove, and he put a metal sheet, and it reflects, and it warmed up. I mean, he wasn't in, I don't know if he was in the teens, and I don't think he was in the teens in the weather, because when it gets down to the teens in the truck or the car, it gets cold. So, make a long story short, let's cut it down, break it down, bust it up, boom, 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 boom. I did the body heater. I put the little canister on for the last couple of days and messed with it. And because it's been cold in the daytime too here in Colorado and Denver and the Rockies. So, and I'm not even on coffee. Imagine me with a cup of coffee. I had like a half a cup earlier, like 2 hours ago. Bang, 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 bang. Frankie Vaughn, the mad chef. All right. So I put it on. I got the pilot lit. I put the pilot, left the pilot on, because I don't want to run the van. The van's running right now all the time, but I don't like the heat, and I don't like when I'm stealthy and, I'm trying to be quiet or wherever I'm at. Like last night, I stayed at one of the hotels in the parking lot, and they don't know if I'm staying in the room or I'm not staying in the room, or I'm visiting somebody, and I know that little spot, and I'm not telling you because it's my spot up in, the Silverthorne, Dillon area. So I've done it multiple times, and I don't like starting truckers, and they see and someone's in the truck, and they know what's going on these days, some people, so I did the pilot, left it on, did it, ran it last night, which was today, Saturday, Friday, and it worked out great. It's the best sleep I ever had. Like the best sleep, because when you're not cold, when you're cold, it sucks. Or when you're like hot and it's summertime, you're living in your truck or your car or your camper, and you got no air conditioning, no fan, and it's 100 degrees or 90 degrees, and I don't function well. I'd rather be cold than hot, because you can always get heat, I mean, I would never have a vehicle without heat. So, especially if you're living in the winter. So I'd rather be cold than hot, because I'm a New Englander, and I don't function well, and I'm Puerto Rican Italian, you know what I'm saying? And I'm the Flying Dutchman, so I'm like hot-tempered German, Italian, Spanish, and I got hot blood. I'm hot, see, like I'm hot right now. So I'd rather, be hot. I don't like being hot. I don't like being functioning hot. I'd rather be cold. So back to the pilot, the propane, the little mini thing. Turned on the thing, left on the pilot, and I was in bed, and it was so nice and warm. And then when it got colder in the middle of the night, and I slept straight through, and actually I fell asleep, and I left it on low, which I didn't know, because I get paranoid. And you know what? It was fine. I was safe, and the windows were cracked, and I was like, whoa, I was kind of nodding out. I was watching Peaky Blinders. Great show, by the way, Peaky Blinders. It's on Netflix. So we'll do the movie check later. So that's what I'm saying. It really worked out, so I appreciate you guys telling me. And the lady that lives in the car, you could see her on YouTube with the shaggy, long-haired old guy with the converted top. He's got millions of followers. Awesome. And then I saw him. He goes around interviewing people. Hope to say someday I get interviewed. I'd be honored to be interviewed by him and tell him my adventures and van life, vandwelling lifestyle. So, wrap it up. Portable heater, buddy heater worked out great. I'm so excited now I can stay longer in the mountains and not freeze my little tushy off and be miserable and broken sleep, because I'm a cranky Frankie. I don't function well when I'm broken sleep, and I don't want to get out. I don't want to go do things, I'm already a late starter. So I'm Frankie Vaughn, the Adventures of Frankie Vaughn. Rocking on out. We're at Keystone, Colorado, busting it up. I'm telling you, hydrate, moisturize, eat your vegetables. I'm Frankie Vaughn. Love you, mama. Call you daddy. Be kind, rewind, be open. And someone said yesterday out on a page, when he was interviewing people in the van life are nice and open and not fear. When you live in the city, people are. I noticed that. And I've always wondered, but he really, the old guy, I love old people because they got wisdom. He said people in the city, and when you live in a van lifestyle and you're with people and you're at camp and wherever you may be, you chat about your rig, you chat about stuff, you chat about how you got here, you chat, and just you share food, you share stuff. And if I, that's the way I was brought up, to share. And the city is so, you could be right in someone's like 22 inches and not even say hi to you. It's so terrible what the big city and what culture has come to. So what I say is find the bridge, share a hello, share excuse me, share a thank you, share a have a great day. And you see smiling. Walk by people, how many people are blessed? And that one video was, people said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you? 5. You know what? You're alive and you're healthy and you got food a roof over your head, live in a van, and blah, blah, blah. Be happy. Be thankful by the grace and gratitude and gratefulness that you are living in a vehicle by choice. If you want, you can go on Section 8 and you can go live in the big city and work for $12 an hour at McDonald's or wherever, schlepping shit. There's plenty of jobs and you can make more than that, but you got a liberation and you live freedom and you're on the road, and it's freedom of being off the grid. So raise your level to 7 every day. Some days are better, some days are worse. You know, that's life.